Welcome to On the Issues. I'm Councilman Jim Waring, and joining me today is Congressman David Schweikert and a special guest who claims to be an expert on tax policy. David, you want to introduce the guest you brought along?
Oh, it's a daddy day, so I have Olivia with me, and she's actually sat through a lot of the tax hearings already.
She is probably the most educated constituent in Fountain Hills, I would imagine, from going to all the meetings.
For being a 16-month-old, she's had to sit through a lot of tax simplification and reform.
Are you being punished for something, Olivia? You have to come on the show and hear about Dad's ideas for Washington?
I appreciate you letting me keep her close by.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, no, we appreciate you coming on. Obviously, it goes without saying, interesting times in Washington. A lot of changes coming, and changes that could impact us at the local level. I've talked about this with constituents, so you have some ideas, and I wanted you to share them with our viewers.
As everyone knows, you and I have been friends for a long time, and typically when we've done this, we've talked about tax policy and the trust funds and those things. But there was something that's also happening that I wanted to make sure that your constituents, our constituents, understood, and that is, as we're doing a series of reforms on everything from environmental policy to construction and infrastructure, a lot more of that responsibility is going to move to the local and state. And so how do you, as the state of Arizona, as the county of Maricopa, be prepared for what the new technology is going to mean? And so what I wanted to do is I brought a little video that we produced because we're actually proposing things like crowdsourcing environmental data as a way to get away from this 1930s model we have in today's regulatory environment.
If you're ready to watch the video, we'll do that and then discuss it.
I think it would actually help set the tone of what we're talking about technology-wise. And actually, I think it's elegance of what it means to our community.
All right. Well, we'll roll the video now and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
So we have a problem. We want jobs and economic growth, but we also want clean air. So let's say you decide to open up a business. After you get all your permits and your licenses that are required, you may have to fill out dozens and dozens of additional papers, hire consultants, just so you're in compliance with air quality rules. So here's my question. Filling up file cabinets full of paper, does that make the air quality cleaner, healthier for our neighborhoods? We think there's a better way. Instead of a few stationary air monitoring sites in our community and file cabinet after file cabinet full of compliance paperwork, what if we had real-time air quality data down to the second for every part of our community? We want to propose the idea of crowdsourcing air quality tests. We can use the technology that we carry around in our pockets every day. What if we could attach air quality sensors to that supercomputer you call your phone in your pocket that would test all types of air pollutants? Imagine being able to see a GIS map which would have thousands of data samples every day traveling around your community. Your neighbors populating the map with their air quality readings, letting everyone know the air is safer to breathe, healthier, and yet our businesses are growing. And if a problem is discovered, we can be dealt with immediately down to the point source of who has made the mistake. We believe this is faster, healthier, fairer, and dramatically less bureaucratic, and no more filling up file cabinets full of paper.
All right, welcome back. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. David, you want to talk a little bit about what we just saw?
So we put the video together because, let's face it, for a couple of years, you and I have been talking about crowdsourcing of data, whether it be for water quality or sound issues or soil, and this one about air quality. And here was the basic principle. If you're the business here in town and you're following all the rules, you've bought the right equipment, you still have to fill out lots of paperwork. Annually, you may have to go and hire a consultant to stamp and do the special audit of your equipment. But yet, let's face it, the clowns across the street that may be painting cars in the back of their lot, they're getting away with violating the rules. At the same time, all of us in the county end up suffering. Because of the ways, the rules right now being a non-attainment county, it could stop building permits, it can stop business expansion. So what would happen in a world where you can catch the bad actors But those who are following the rules get left alone. And we can now do that because the technology that's now coming out that we can attach to these supercomputers we all carry around in our pockets really do provide us some great options. And this is a piece of legislation we're going to be introducing in the next week or two. It'll be heading to the Energy and Commerce Committee, and we're hoping by the end of this year, a county like Maricopa and Arizona and a few others around the country will be able to enter in this pilot program of sort of the citizen science, crowdsourcing environmental data, and the trade-off is those who are playing by the rules get left alone.
Well, it's exciting stuff, and it's a sea change from the inaction that maybe have been seen the last few years on a lot of fronts. So prospects for success, moving a bill through the entire Congress and getting the president to sign it is tough duty, but it sounds like you're cautiously optimistic,
well, the nice
at least.
thing with this is we're going to have folks from both parties as sponsors on it. Because when it comes to technology, the battle lines really haven't been drawn yet. So is the idea of using data a Republican idea, Democrat idea? And I'll make you the argument, it's just data. And think about all the options we have. When you and I talk about how do we move traffic here in our city, today we have crowdsourcing of, there's apps like Waze that we all have on our phones. The ability for a municipality to actually capture that data and look at it and say, hey, we have backups here, certain times of the day we see this. When an ambulance or a fire truck leaves this station, it causes this reaction. What will happen if, when we get ready to do the infrastructure funding, that part of that is not only building new on-ramps and asphalt, but is actually the adoption of technology. The ability to change stoplights, to change meters, the on-ramp meters getting onto the freeway. The ability to actually have emergency response vehicles take different paths. There's data now, it shows that use of that crowdsourced traffic data that comes from apps like Waze, that they make available to all of us and the government level, is the most efficient, cost-effective, and most powerful thing we can do in urban and suburban areas.
Well, it's fascinating stuff. I know, our interactions with other police forces and fire departments, certainly that's changed radically in the last 10 years or so, thanks to technology. Bill Gates, our friend and my former colleague, who's now with the county supervisors, he's done a lot in terms of using technology, like you said, to replace, we used to have 17,500 employees, and now we have, 14,000 doing the same amount of work and getting really the same customer service satisfaction. I'm not saying it was perfect, but we do check these things.
And it's always hard. But there's one other project, and we're actually...
change is hard. That's absolutely true.
And we're going to be meeting with the state legislature in a little while. And one of the other ideas we're working with is the ability to manage assets. Let's say City of Phoenix owns a very expensive earth mover, but you're only using it 20 hours a week. Well, those things are designed to run, 22 hours a day. They're designed to be very robust in their workload. For that excess time that's not being used, why isn't it rented, leased, traded, offered to other municipalities, our tribal communities, the irrigation district down the street? And if you think about all the assets we have at every level of government, the reality, you and I could put together an app that says, take a picture of the vehicle, take a picture of the earth mover, the other things we have, describe its availability, and see if there's the ability to trade and share assets. And those assets actually can be more than just a piece of equipment. They could be the classroom down the street, where the kids are out at 3:45, so at 4:30 it becomes the community college. And at 7 at night it becomes the AA meeting. Or the engineer.
You and I are speaking at a meeting tonight at community college.
But the parts of this is, even down to talent. If you're the flood control engineer that's working on transportation projects, that life is sort of cyclical. You have very busy times and then a slowdown. So during those slowdowns, could that engineer that may work for ADOT or MCDOT or the city of Phoenix sell, rent, trade that excess, that slow down time to other agencies. We have this amazing ability to manage our assets, to crowdsource data, to even look at data that's already being given to us for free because of the apps and other creative folks who've already put these things together. Now, how do you transition that into the use of making a better, more efficient community? Because those of us at the federal level, we're going to be handing back a lot of power and authority to our states, cities, counties. It's an amazing opportunity to actually do it a lot better than we can do it from Washington.
Well, and we've tried to sort of rudimentary, not as far as you're talking, but we've tried to partner with the county now, have shared office space. Another old, longtime friend of both of ours, yours longer than mine, Sal DeCiccio, who I know you know way back in the day, worked a lot on 24-hour permitting at the city. It used to be if you wanted to build something, which I know you know something about, you'd had to come down here, I forget, I think it was 13 times or something crazy, in person, always in person. Now we're trying to make it so it's, it's one trip or two trips. That saves on the parking, that saves on the gas, that saves on the wear and tear of everybody's car, the congestion. It's got so many ancillary benefits, apart from just the obvious, you don't have to spend as much time doing something and you get the same result.
Look, you and Sal and a couple others have been brilliant at working on the concept of the one-stop shop to get things done. And what I'm starting to pitch is if we can actually get rid of some of the sort of the excessive attitude towards controlling our lives that comes from the federal government and allow you as a member of the Phoenix City Council to be creative. Just an oddity, and this may sound a little more like an eccentricity, but many years ago in school, for a little while, I took a series of urban planning classes. And remember, at that time, the folklore was, well, you get rid of parking spaces in urban areas, and that will force people to ride mass transit. Well, it turns out that when we saw the data sets 20 years later, what happens in urban areas is, no, people are still driving their cars, but now they go around the block and around the block and around the block looking for that parking space. In many ways, the removal of the parking spaces actually made urban congestion and air quality worse. But now we can actually see with some of that smart cities data, the ability to have the app, the traffic information, the ways of the world tell you saying, oh, there's 3 parking spaces open now on this street. So even in communities where they've removed those parking spaces, you can now instantly get information saying where there's availability. So it's that embracing of technology to start just to make our lives easier.
And I have to ask, did your daughter do the drawing on the video, or was that somebody else?
No, but look,
she was the big picture director?
Yeah. Look, I did the video because we've talked about the crowdsourcing of environmental data for a couple years. But it's hard sometimes when it's a new concept and the technology has actually just been hitting the market the last couple years. So the video we were hoping would explain it in a more elegant fashion.
No, I thought it was clear, concise. I thought it was outstanding. And you have, transitioning a little bit, you have a lot of new responsibilities in Washington. Yes. You want to talk a little bit? We were chatting before the show about changes. I should also say one thing. I talked about you and I doing a meeting tonight. And please remember, if you're watching this at home, this is a taped show. So do not go to Paradise Valley Community College. Whatever day you're watching this, we won't be there. You can go, but we'll don't expect. Yes, we will. If you can travel back in time, we'd have been there.
And before the camera started turning on, we were having the discussion. I've been blessed to get a seat on the Ways and Means Committee.
Huge thing for Arizona.
It's a big deal for Arizona, partially because it's more than just tax policy. It's a huge portion of the financing of the ACA, but it's also trade policy, but it's also the mechanics and policy over the trust funds, the Social Security, the Medicare trust funds.
Which you have focused on for years, by the way, so this is right up your alley.
So, yeah, and there are massive responsibilities, and there's math problems out there that are very serious. But the first big hurdle for us is we're working on tax reform. How do you do tax simplification in a way that maximizes economic growth? And it's more than just top-line growth for business and economic expansion. I need payroll. We need the payroll expansion. We need more people to find jobs that pay better, because as you pay your FICA taxes, those are the taxes that actually go into Medicare and Social Security. And if we do that well, it will relieve some of the concern and pressure on how quickly we have to reform those programs.
Now, with the change in responsibilities, it sounds like there's just a lot more time in Washington, a lot more time with your colleagues.
It's actually one of the reasons there's a little girl sitting on my lap. I'm gone. I'm gone a lot more right now.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, I'll let you have that. But I'm gone a lot more.
She's not our most unruly guest, by the way. So
I appreciate you tolerating this.
Sure. Oh no, it's great. It's great.
It is. Look, it's intellectually the most interesting thing I've ever done, but it's complex. And as my father used to say, for every complex problem, there's a simple solution that's absolutely wrong. And when you start getting into tax policy, our tax code today has special carve-outs, thousands of them. And so you have lobbyists from every part of the country coming and trying to fight for keeping their special carve-out or to adjust it or benefit them. At the same time, let me give you those.
Olivia, you have been amazing sitting here like this.
Well,
if I brought my sons on at comparable ages, they'd be ruling the roost. There'd be fires. It would be terrible.
Yeah, and I appreciate.
Just kidding, guys.
But so be prepared. And one of the things I'd like to offer is, as soon as we have the tax reform simplification policy on paper completed, you and I should sit and do one of these shows, and we'll bring some of the video and the data on how that's going to work.
Yeah. And I think that would be awesome for our audience, because they don't get this kind of, one-on-one, because the jobs are so intense. It's hard to get time on interview shows and so forth where you get a few minutes to actually really explain what's going on.
And look, one of the benefits here is you and I get to talk for a half an hour. We can bring some displays and those sorts of things. And the other thing we'll also offer is, when we have the package and there's the need for a level of understanding, because where we're going right now is for about 90% of our neighbors and friends, they're going to be able to do their income taxes on a postcard. Wow. Because the standard deduction will be so big that you'll no longer itemize, you'll just use the standard deduction and do it on a postcard.
Well, it's fascinating times. What's it been like? I mean, you're living it. You're in the middle of what some of us, read about in the paper, or folks at home watch on cable news all day long.
I would say be careful of the distractions. You find there's lots of noise, and when you start to dig into it, the story isn't real, or it is spun in such a way that it's pure political theater. And sometimes that political theater makes it very hard to do policy.
Yeah, because it really, having majorities in both houses and the presidency, obviously change is coming. Whatever viewers of this show might think about it one way or the other, certainly something's going to change, and probably something needed to, the way things were going. So you've talked a little bit about some of your ideas. Do you see other things coming that might change that we're not thinking about right now?
Oh yeah, look, the biggest one, and we started to talk about that, is what happens when something like the Medicaid money, which for us here in Arizona, we refer to as access. If a big portion of that was block granted back to the state, could our community do other things in other ways to help indigents and folks who are on the program? Could you use a much more a community-based model, a clinic-based model, and serve more of our population with more options? So the changes of having that money flow to the state may give us a lot more flexibility, and also a lot more responsibility laid on our state legislators and those of you at the council level.
Well, people, I think, because we've talked about it on the show before, you and I have talked about it offline, if not on the show, the city does a lot of, for lack of a better word, contract work for the feds. Money gets sent to the city. City has employees who then distribute it for various purposes. Obviously, it's lots of money, millions of dollars in the course of a year. I don't know what kind of changes might be expected this first year, but over a period of 4 years, I would expect things to change somewhat substantially, if not radically, given that there's just a difference in tone right now.
Well, look, and I don't mean to sound cynical, it's just living in the real world. Almost everyone that comes to my office in DC or even here in town, it's about the money. And many, the argument is, well, it's an investment, it's not an expense, but at some point you have a certain financial reality of here's what we have. Even last year, we borrowed almost $600 billion. An amount equal to all of our defense spending.
It's hard to fathom when you put it like that.
All of the rest of the non-entitlement part of government. So the scale that's happening in the shortfalls is amazing. But as we're trying to pitch with sort of the technology, there may be much better, healthier, faster, and much more rational ways to do things if we can sort of get away from that sort of bureaucratic control model. And this is the year we have to do it.
And I assume, the new vice president served in the House, if I'm right, when you got there, so you would know him. I would assume that's also helpful as a liaison tool with the administration.
Vice President Pence is an interesting character from the standpoint, I think his heart is still in the U.S. House of Representatives. So he's done something unique. Even though he's president of the Senate, he's going to be keeping an office in the House side.
Oh. Is that unprecedented, or?
Yeah, I don't, at least in modern history, I don't think it's ever been done. And the uniqueness, I talked to him last week, he fully intends to actually use that as his office.
I mean, it hasn't been that long. He would have gotten elected governor in 2012, so, 4 or 5 years.
Look,
really.
I served a couple of years with him, and he was always very kind and very gracious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's interesting how quickly change can take hold. Like you said, there's a lot of stuff out there, but I worry sometimes that distracts from substantive changes are coming. As an elected official myself, we want to make sure that we're prepared, which is why I really appreciate you doing this show.
It's the adoption of the technology and the information's available to us. I mean, we're all walking around with these supercomputers in our pocket. And I think we're just starting to understand how they're about to change our banking relationships. But
they changed mine.
And look,
definitely.
If there's someone out there watching this who actually has a real interest in technology that is actually going to change our lives, and I promise you, will change how government functions, they need to read about what we call blockchain, our distributed ledger. And a House member named Winiger, neat guy, is actually running a handful of pieces of legislation, just as we are at the federal level, to put what they called blockchain and smart contracts into the Arizona Uniform Commercial Code, meaning that in the near future, the use of this technology will be sort of documented on how you do it.
You're talking about Jeff Weniger from Chandler, yep. No, we know him well. He used to be in city government, actually. Yes. He was a city councilman, so he has a good pedigree, I guess, for doing stuff like this.
And why this is so important, think about this. If you wanted to sell your car, what if you could, through a couple passwords on your phone, hit a button, and transfer its title? How about if you wanted to borrow money and through a couple passwords on your phone, hit a button, and it would all be absolutely bulletproof safe? Even the documentation of your ownership of a piece of real estate or the licenses you hold. The ability to use blockchain actually completely sort of changes the way we document our lives.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff. I mean, I can tell you, we had a meeting recently talking about city-owned properties. We're trying, a lot of us, Democrat and Republican, put pressure on the city manager. Hey, we've got a lot of properties that have just been sitting dormant for years. We have to pay to clean them up. So we've sold about $18 million in properties here recently. But if you wanted to buy one of them, there was really no list. I mean, it was total hunt and peck. I mean, it literally was like something out of the 1980s, as a product of the 1980s. I don't mean that meanly. It's just, it was a different time. And now, we're getting it so you go on the website, there's a button, you click on a button, and it tells you everything about the property, how long we've owned it, how much it costs, what we're looking for, who to contact. It's such a sea change. That was something, again, Bill Gates, who I mentioned before, had worked on, but it's fantastic that it's so much better than it was, but there's still ways to improve it even more.
But we need to make that universal. Yes. And forgive me, I don't mean to sound mean, but it was almost 20 years ago that the Arizona Board of Equalization moved to electronic filing of tax appeals. It was more than a decade ago the county treasurer moved to moving almost all documentations, even seeing GIS maps of who was delinquent on their property taxes, because we found out so many people didn't realize that their home was on multiple parcels. And they had been paying on one part of the property, not realizing that part of their backyard was a different tax ID number and had a separate tax bill. But making those things visual, it's just sort of like the air quality idea we talked about earlier, putting it on a publicly available GIS map so you can see, do we have a problem somewhere in our community? And how do you turn the regulators from being folks that basically process paperwork to being professionals that go out to where there's problems quickly? And so you mitigate the difficulty. And so, yes, it's a sea change. And let's face it, it's hard changing bureaucracies. It's also hard changing a lot of folks who may be very good at what they do, the way they do it today, and have to learn how it needs to be done tomorrow.
Well, it's tougher, particularly, older employees. I'm a little older now. I mean, it's tougher for me to learn the technologies, but there's so much benefit.
The argument I'll make you is it's gotten simpler. This isn't a decade ago where we wanted to put things on a website, but it was difficult to code the website. Now it's just plug and play. So things that may have been scary to do, I mean, when someone my
Coding
age,
was scary when I was doing it in the late 80s and early 90s.
But when even someone
for
my
sure.
age, I can write an app in an afternoon because it's very simple to do. So look, that creativity that's out there, we need our constituents. Bring us your ideas. Because someone out there has the next brilliant idea that's going to help us revolutionize government.
Well, and you have always been open to that kind of stuff, and so we thank you for doing it. We thank you for bringing these ideas on here. We will have you back when the tax policies become a little more firmed up and we have something more to talk about. But that's all the time we have, unfortunately. But I really appreciate you coming on, David.
Jim,
thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Thanks. And if you have any questions or comments, please call my office at 602-262-7445 or visit my website at phoenix.gov/District 2. And we look forward to seeing you next time on The Issue.